What is up, you guys? Nomicon here, bringing you my perspective as to what everything is bringing us, and welcome to another unscripted, unfiltered discussion video. And today's the topic of the day. We'll be talking about the current state of the Godzilla and Kong franchise. And I'm not doing this alone. I got three other people with me, all of them returning members of the discussion series. And one of them I will be introducing is Carbs. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Namicon. Great to be back, and I'm looking forward to having this discussion be pretty good, just like the last few that we've been on.
All right. And another returning member is Brandon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be back here again to do another discussion video with you guys. Hopefully, you had a lot of fun with it.
All right. And another returning member is RevinEvan. How are you doing today?
Just fine. I know it's been a while. I'm ready. My nerves are steeled. My profile pic is changed to fit the current topic. Let's do this thing.
All right. All right, let's get started. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Reiwa era with Shin Godzilla. So for me, it's been a bit since I've seen it, but I watched it English dub. But I absolutely think this is a triumphant return to for Toho for Godzilla. This is a great start. It also helps that this was directed by Hideaki Anno, who created Neon Genesis Evangelion. I haven't
Oh
seen
no.
I haven't seen Evangelion, so I don't know if that I don't know if
I've actually seen that, and that's a show that's good. It will
uh,
change your experience. Your experience will be very different depending on how depressed you are.
well I for one have not seen it, so I can't say shit. But what I did heard was that it changed the mecha genre for it. It set a new standard for the mecha genre. That's what I've heard. But we're not here to talk about Evangelion. We're here to talk about
Yeah,
Shin
that's for
Godzilla.
another video.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla is great. It went straight back to the political side of how Godzilla would work. It does show me how it shows how incompetent the government could be should they if they get around into the situation. But and God, this Godzilla, he was pretty terrifying. He was actually pretty terrifying, I would say. That atomic beam he had, oof, that that shit was
Wait,
godlike.
what?
That was a
Didn't it have
godlike
like
beam.
3 stages or something?
Yeah. He had like three
Like
stages.
it's smoke, then that becomes fire, then gets into a beam, and then shoot other arrows out of his dorsal fins. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I know. But overall, my thoughts on this: it's a great movie. It really is. It sets the tone for what's to come for future Toho projects for the Reiwa era of Godzilla. And let's start with Revan Evan. Have you seen Shin Godzilla? If so, what did you think of it?
I have not seen it. I
Mm,
honestly actually didn't even know there was a dubbed version that I could watch or anything like that. All I've heard is just little rumors and other people in my whole friend group talking about how great it is. And yeah, I can say the same for a lot of the Ray era stuff. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard nothing but good things about most of them. I think Singular Point, but I just haven't sit down to watch them at all for this reason.
all right. All right. Brandon, have you seen Shin Godzilla? If so, what did you think of it?
I have seen Shin Godzilla, though it has been a while since I've watched it again. What I did like about it, though, was the fact that it's basically like a whole retelling of the origin of Godzilla, considering it's like a whole reboot of the whole franchise, you could say, excluding the whole MonsterVerse, obviously, because MonsterVerse and Shin Godzilla are both different versions of Godzilla. Yeah, I mean, they portray Godzilla very differently from how we're used to because we either see him as like very like a heroic type of kaiju or like a villain antagonistic role. Like this Godzilla, he's more like a force of nature, if anything. Like he's not really good. He's not really bad though. It's just like it's kind of like in the middle, but it's like almost like just like kind of like a force of destruction, you could say.
Yeah, yeah. That's what Japan sees Gojira as, a force of nature, because he's essentially a metaphor to nuclear bombs, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just the effect of what the power of nuclear energy.
Yep. And then let's go to carbs. Have you seen Shin Godzilla? If so, what did you think of it?
All right, so Shin Godzilla. It was first introduced and released in 2016. It is actually ranked as a horror sci-fi film, which honestly is pretty appropriate for what the film actually is, considering how this is a very scary design for Godzilla. It amazes me how they made this monster more terrifying than what it already is. Take it for granted that it came out in 2016. This was, I think, if I'm not correct, 2 years before King of the Monsters came out for the MonsterVerse. Am I correct?
Yeah, this no,
3 years.
three actually.
3 years. But for what, considering the budget was about $7 million, it doesn't look that bad. Also, it did pretty well at the box office. It made a ton of money considering
7 million?
what its budget was.
That was the
Yeah.
budget? Oh
Yep.
my
It,
god, I actually did not know that. That is impressive.
7 million. Well, 7 million US dollars. It was about a billion yen. But
Yeah, I can see that. It's in
still,
yen. I had to convert.
yeah,
That's
it's still pretty
crazy.
impressive.
It made up 10 times its budget back. No, 11 times.
Yeah, that's
Imagine that.
insane. All right.
But
Yeah.
overall, considering the film itself, I liked it. It was honestly, on the first watch, it felt a little bit boring to me, just because it was mostly you could say political movie as well, considering that there's roughly barely any scenes with Godzilla in it. But every time we would see Godzilla in it, it would just steal the show entirely because of how terrifying and good it was. Especially the the most popular scene of all was when Godzilla, of course, shot out his beam. But what's crazy was that on first watch, I just thought of it. Okay, it's gonna be a regular beam for Godzilla, the classic. But as soon as it went from a destructive fire to just a purple beam of light and his mouth expanding, I was like, "What the heck is that?" And I was
Yeah.
Jaw
like,
just
"That
unhinges.
was terrifying."
It really
And then when he closed his mouth and then the beam shot out of his back, I was like, "I didn't know he could do that." It just amazes me what they did with Shin Godzilla.
it really
But this movie, although it's only 2 hours, for me at first it felt a little longer. But honestly, the runtime was pretty good, and I will say that the people in the film itself were they're pretty good. You could believe that they were actual people and not just movie actors trying to do their best into fitting into the role they're assigned. And fun fact, this quote unquote final evolution of Godzilla or Shin isn't actually its final form, because before the film ends, it briefly shows like the frozen Shin Godzilla, and there's like things coming out of its tail looking like alien metamorphic creatures, and I was like, "The frick is that?" What it looked like Godzilla was it looked like Godzilla was evolving again, and according to I don't know the source, but there apparently were 8 forms of Shin Godzilla, and we only got to the 4th form, which is insane.
What did the other four look like?
The final form looked like just a bigger and scarier version of Shin, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
I think the most terrifying form is probably the 2nd form, 5th or 6th, because the 5th form looked like a humanoid Shin Godzilla mix. But all in all, the film itself was pretty good. I would say that it's not the best Godzilla film I've ever seen, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. And then now let's move on to the Godzilla anime trilogy. If you want to watch this anime trilogy, you can watch it on Netflix. That's where I watched it, and these movies suck. like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. These movies suck. Yeah,
Like how bad
the
is
the
Yeah,
story doesn't.
honestly,
Yeah, the story doesn't make sense. The characters suck. I didn't like the animation style, and the philosophical message they were trying to pull. It's no, they sucked. The writing was terrible. It's so the philosophical messages are just so pretentious, and it also the way the third movie ended is horrible, absolutely horrible. It's the literal definition of character regression. All the character development the main character got went to waste, and it's a shame too because I saw it on English dub. The cast was pretty stacked. We got Chris Niosi, we got Jameson Price, Christina V. I'm sure there were other I'm sure there were other voice casts, but it's on the tip of my tongue. But those are the three that I
hang
can
on, I
think
can look
of.
them all up.
But this trilogy sucks. Honestly, and there and the fight scene between Godzilla and Ghidorah, that's not a fight scene. I cannot call that a fight scene. It's just Ghidorah literally hanging Godzilla. It was literally Ghidorah biting and holding Godzilla's arms the whole entire time. That's it. Also, they claim that it claims that Mothra is in the movie, but he literally just appeared like for a few seconds. That's it. That is it.
Were there 3 movies?
Yeah, there were three movies. All the yeah, the first one was boring. The second one was all right. The third movie was terrible, absolutely terrible. Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like these movies. It's a shame. It's a shame. And let's go for you, RevinEvan. Have you seen the movies? If so, what did you think of it?
No, I'm not. From you, I do not know what to think. I
Yeah.
can always watch them on Netflix and get my own opinion, but we'll see what happens.
All
I
right.
think there's a lot better Godzilla stuff I've heard of that I need to see first.
All right. Brandon, have you seen the Godzilla anime trilogy? If so, what did you think of it?
I only saw the first one with my brother, and honestly, after that, I just couldn't continue, like continue watching it because one I heard it was just like really like the whole movie. The first one I just did not like in general, storyline wise, because even though it is a trilogy, honestly it just didn't really feel like Godzilla itself. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't like honestly after I heard that there was a third movie, like I kind of just like I didn't even watch the second movie when I heard the third movie now because I skipped the second movie because I didn't have high hopes for the first one. Then and I heard it after the third movie, then so I watched the third movie trailer, but I was just like I'm just done. Like I just couldn't watch it honestly after that. That being said, though, I did look over the novelizations and the manga, and while they are a little better than I'd say the movies, not by much because I've seen the designs. It's different from traditional Godzilla designs. I honestly don't like it that much.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. How about you, Carbs? Have you seen the Godzilla anime trilogy? If so, what did you think of it?
All right, so Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. I will say, when I first saw the trailer of it, I thought it was going to be, wow, okay, a Godzilla movie in anime form. Hopefully this looks, it looks pretty good. It looks decent. I might give it a try. I don't think we've ever seen a anime of Godzilla up to that point because I assumed everything was just live action. So I didn't see the film, but I saw some scenes of it, specifically the ones with Godzilla in it, and it wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be. So I gave the second film a try because I saw Ghidorah in it, and I said, okay, Ghidorah. It's one of Godzilla's biggest threats in any monsterverse. Let's see what they do with it. It's just a really long dragon. Just long dragon. It's a Great Wall of China as a dragon. Okay, so maybe it might be good. Maybe he may be world threatening or something. No, he's not. And like you said, that fight, quote unquote, fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah, that wasn't a fight. I don't even know what that was. I was not feeling intense or tensity at all throughout that entire clip. If Godzilla would have died there and then, I would have said, well, how did he lose to that giant snake?
Yes.
In all honesty. And looking at the poster for the third film, I look at it and I say, that's not a Godzilla movie. What is that? That looks like some sci-fi monster thing, but when I see that, I don't think Godzilla. I just think another anime trying to be something, but it really isn't going to be anything, and that's exactly what this movie trilogy is.
Yep.
And it sucks because it looked like it could have had amazing potential of being another great addition to the Godzilla franchise. But sadly, it wasn't. It was pretty forgettable, and nobody really paid attention to it.
Yeah, honestly, and also, they did mention Mecca. Mecca was literally a whole ass town. It was literally a whole science division. That's what Mecca was in this movie. It's wow.
Dang.
What,
Yeah,
was
this was like
a
one
building
thing
or
that
something?
pissed me off.
Imagine you're hyped up for seeing Mecha Godzilla in an anime. Okay, Mecha Godzilla anime. Ooh, this is gonna be amazing. And it's not even an actual replication of Godzilla in a mecha form. It's just like you said, a town or a lab or whatever the frick. That's
Yeah, honestly, that pissed me off. Like I'm sorry for interjecting here, but that honestly pissed me off. It's like, why are you not making a legit Mecha Godzilla instead of making it like it is in like real? Instead, then you do that in anime. I was like, oh my god! Like another reason why I didn't watch it. Like I hated that point. I hated it. It just ruined it for me.
Also, there's one thing that pissed me off. There's one thing that pissed me off. Okay, in the third film, you remember those lolly tribes? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll take that as enough. So, okay, so the main character and the one of the members of the lolly tribes, out of nowhere they got laid. Out of fucking nowhere. I didn't need to see that in a Gojira film, but what the fuck?
I'm sorry, did you just say they got laid?
Yes, they got laid out of fucking nowhere. I didn't need to see that in a Godzilla
That's
film.
insane. That right there, that just confirms that this is one of the worst Godzilla anything, because this has nothing to do with Godzilla.
It really does. I didn't need to see that in a Gojira film. What the fuck? No,
That's crazy.
honestly, fuck these movies. Honestly, yeah. And let's go back to Godzilla's singular point. I actually have not seen this show. The designs are interesting to say the least. I am happy that Anguirus gets acknowledged after so long. Yeah, but and Jack Jaguar as well. We haven't seen that guy in a long time. The last time we saw him was the video game Unleashed. So it's good to see that both Anguirus and Jet Jaguar get acknowledged. But otherwise, I haven't seen the show yet. English dubbing cast looks stacked though. Erica Harlacher and Johnny Young Bosch are the main characters. So all right, how about you, RevinEvan? Have you seen Godzilla Singular Point? If so, what did you think?
I have not.
You have not. All right. How about you, Carbs? Have you seen Godzilla Singular Point? If so, what did you think of it?
No, I have not seen Godzilla Singular Point. I actually had no idea this was a thing until I just searched it up. But I think I actually have heard of it when I was seeing some new additions coming to Netflix, a little preview, and this happened to come out. And I'm looking at it. It came out in 2021. And I'm looking at some of the posters for the anime itself. And I'm not going to lie, the design for Godzilla in this anime is pretty good. I like it. It really represents one of the classic designs of Godzilla itself. It really almost looks like it's paying homage to the original with a mix of the Godzilla Final Wars design as well. I will say I might give this one a chance. Probably not, looking at the reviews of it, but overall, I think this is a way better design and better looking Godzilla than the 3 anime movies that we talked about previously.
Yeah. It does look a lot better, even though the designs are not what I expect from the kaiju. But it does look like it has a lot of potential since they're basically TV shows. So they have TV shows. When it comes to TV shows, developers they have more time to cook. Unlike with the movies, they're very limited. But yeah, I am curious about it. Now let's move on to the most recent movie from Toho from the Reiwa era, Godzilla minus one. I've watched the movie with Carbs, and this is my movie of the year. This is my movie of the year. This movie is a masterpiece. This is this is the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen. Like holy shit! Like the not only was Gojira absolutely terrifying, like his atomic breath was amazing to look at. The destruction was jaw dropping, and yeah, Godzilla terrorizing the. When Godzilla first appeared, I was shocked. I was pretty terrified, and yeah, the damage he's done was irreparable. And the human, and I love the human characters too. Specifically, the main character Koichi, dude, he's the best human character I've ever seen in any Gojira film. He's literally the so Koichi is a war veteran from World War II, and he is trying to recover from that. He suffers PTSD from that, and Gojira appearing makes his PTSD worse, and we saw the effects of it, the aftermath, which is something I have not seen. So yeah, the way this film is carefully crafted on a tight budget, which I think from what I heard is less than $15 million, which is incredible. That it is. This movie is a masterpiece. It's maybe my favorite Godzilla film ever. It's a top 10 all time favorite film for me, and I'm I'm just I'm just mind blown by it. I went there with high expectations, and my expectations were exceeded. Like Jesus Christ, like that this film really gave me a new standard for what should I expect from Godzilla. Like honestly, and as for you, RevinEvan, have you seen Godzilla minus one? What did you think of it?
I haven't seen the movie. I remember you invited me to go see the movie a couple weeks ago. I said, no, I need to focus on studying for my classes. And I'm forever kicking myself that I never went to go see it.
All right. That's fine. All right, Carbs. Let's hear your thoughts on Godzilla minus one.
All right, so you know how I say we would come back to when we were talking about the best Godzilla movie, in my opinion?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the one. Spoiler alert, this is the best Godzilla movie of all time. I will say that when you're in theaters and you're watching a Godzilla movie, I had to block my ears just because of how loud it was. That's exactly what I'm expecting when going to a movie theater and seeing a Godzilla movie. Sure, I want that volume up. I really felt like Godzilla was there with me. I was terrified. The first time we saw Godzilla, I had no idea we were going to see Godzilla that early in the film. And because of its budget being under 15 million, it actually looked really good. It looked like if it was straight out of a $200+ million budget, that opening scene with Godzilla in it. And that was just Godzilla being in his baby form, not even being radioactive or getting his powers from the nuclear bomb testing. And speaking of nuclear bomb testing, the atomic breath scene, the first time we saw that, my jaw dropped because of how amazing the music was, just the way it was charging up. And that is honestly on par, if not better, than the first time we saw Shin Godzilla's atomic breath scene, because it was giving me almost, and if not the exact same vibes when I first saw that. And what I loved about the atomic breath scene was that his breath, when he fired it, it had a little pause and then an explosion that looked like if it was like a nuke dropped. Which that right there is a perfect way of making a metaphor for something else, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we all know what we mean there.
Yep.
But I will say that the one thing that I didn't like about the film was how Noriko survived that explosion. That was
yeah. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yes.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I did say spoiler alert at the beginning, so be careful on that. But Noriko surviving at the end was the one thing that really threw me off. The one that caught everyone by surprise. The one that me and Namikon looked at each other like, okay, how is this possible? That's not real. That was, in all honesty, that was the fakest thing I saw in the entire movie. Everything else was so real. That was the only thing, the most fictional thing aspect of the whole film.
Yep.
So that's about on the same level as the president taking that giant space station laser from Shadow the Hedgehog. Even though he was in the building and it hit him point blank, he's just fine.
I would say that's more on par with Chewbacca's supposed death on The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But all in all, the film, I'll give it honestly, probably a 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10. And if you look at the reviews for the film itself, this is, I think, the highest rated Godzilla film that has ever existed. And I support that. The one thing that I also love about this film is that it does the one thing that most films or any form of media cannot, and that is make me tear up, because I'm kind of stone hearted when it comes to sad emotional scenes in films, but this one, like, the feelings really hit you hard.
It really does. It really does. Toho is back, baby. All right, we move on from Toho. Let's talk about the MonsterVerse, starting with Godzilla 2014. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I was hyped. I was so hyped for this movie. I was like, oh my god, he's actually back? And he looks so good. Oh my god, dude, oh my god, finally, the US America did this right? Could America get this one right? My excitement for this film was so loud. I was choosing which one do I want to watch more, Godzilla 2014 or The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I wanted to watch Godzilla 2014 instead, because I was at the time I was in high school, so I was still treated like a child. So I had the rule where I had to go to the movies once a month. So I chose Godzilla because why? At the time, I have not seen the first Amazing Spider-Man film, and I was still a huge fanboy of Tobey Maguire at the time, so I prioritized Godzilla instead. It was such a great return to form for Godzilla. Gareth Edwards did such a fantastic job on the scale part. Godzilla it seemed like a huge force of nature. I think, and uh, and the human characters were actually pretty good too. I think it's just mostly Bryan Cranston that carried the humans for me. Bryan Cranston did such a fantastic job with the limited time he had on it. So, so yeah, honestly, yeah, I still love this movie. Honestly, it's a top three American made Godzilla film for me. All right, let's go to you, RevinEvan. What did you think of Godzilla 2014?
Well, as someone who decided to be the Amazing Spider-Man 2 instead of this when I was around that age, yeah, no, you made the better choice.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I actually did make the right choice in hindsight. All right, how about you, Carbs? What did you think of
I
Godzilla
didn't even
2014?
wait. That was kind of I kind I had a couple more thoughts about this as one of the very few Godzilla films I've seen outside of, well, a couple scattered ones from the past.
All right, go ahead, Evan.
I first saw this film with my brother and a couple of my friends that sleep over in our own house. I actually didn't really know what to think of it because, like most people around that age who wanted to see a movie in the summer, I was expecting a lot of high octane action and fun, and didn't really get that much of that in the movie. It wasn't until a few years later when I realized this wasn't trying to be a high octane blockbuster, even though most movies kind of fall in that category. This trying to be a lot more, like you said, return to form for Godzilla. As the first Godzilla film, when it was made back in 1954, was a dramatic social commentary on the dangers of nuclear energy and weapons. So, as far as the tone is concerned, a lot of these movies, for a couple of years or so, the 2014 film was actually probably the most faithful reboot we had gotten of the Godzilla films. Until Shin Godzilla and Minus One did that a lot better, as I've heard from a lot of you.
All right, let's go to your cards. What did you think of Godzilla in 2014?
Say?
Carbs, what did you think of Godzilla 2014?
All right, Godzilla 2014. I myself, when I went to the movie theaters to see this film, I wasn't expecting much. I just thought, oh, Godzilla. I remember as a kid, I watched the 1998 Godzilla movie, the first time the Americans trying to pull off a good Godzilla movie. But I thought the 1998 one for me was kind of fun. I say fun because it really was a lot to show. They tried to do a lot with it. I love how the Godzilla Monster Wars reenacted or brought back Zilla as they called it, just for it to say goodbye. But the 2014 Godzilla movie, I loved it. I saw it in theaters with my dad. I remember going in there with my dad, my sister, my brother, my mom. And the part where Godzilla first came out and the thuds, I was like, "What? Oh my god! What is this? What's happening?" And the reveal of Godzilla for the first time with his iconic, well, not really iconic, but his new roar, that really got me trembling. And then and then that one scene where Godzilla, it's all silent, and then you just hear Godzilla's roar. I had to cover my ears for that one because it was loud, and it was the first time I ever saw that. But I honestly like how in this one you don't really see Godzilla that much, but every time you do, it's a sight to see, honestly. And I think one of my favorite parts of the film, well, I have two favorites. The first one was when we first get to see Godzilla Atomic Breath, the charge up, and then the music coming in as soon as he blasts it. Man, that was amazing. I remember people cheering in my theater watching that because we all thought, oh no, Godzilla's gonna die. No, he's not. And then my second favorite part was when he blasted the atomic breath into the Muto's mouth and it killed him. And every honestly, as soon as the music for that part came in, the dun 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 dun, everyone, I promise you, everyone clapped in my movie theater. They were all applauding that scene because it was a victory. And honestly, that film was when I knew that, okay, this new MonsterVerse, if at the time I didn't know it was going to be a MonsterVerse, might actually be pretty good. Especially how the design of this Godzilla looked way better than the one from the 1998 version, and the characters were actually pretty decent. I actually cared for some of these characters, even though they didn't really have any direct relationship with Godzilla, except for the Aaron Taylor Johnson character with his dad, Bryan Cranston. Other than that, I will say that this film, I think, maybe needed a bit more of Godzilla scenes in them, just because there was only roughly about, if not 20 minutes or less of Godzilla screen time in this 2-hour film. But it was pretty good for what it was.
So, one into the movie.
Well, all right. So Brandon is back from his errands. So Brandon, have you seen Godzilla Singular Point? If so, what did you think of it?
Sorry. I didn't quite pick it up. Can you say that again? Sorry.
Have you seen Godzilla Singular Point? If so, what did you think of it?
We are talking about the MonsterVerse now, right? The Godzilla,
Well,
first Godzilla movie and this monster.
well, we're going back to Toho, the Reiwa era, for you. So we're going to
We were
talk about
going for a bit and we just
yeah.
talked about a lot of the stuff, so we were just giving you another chance.
Yeah. So we're
Wait,
gonna
we're talking about my.
we're going back to the Reiwa era for you. So we're gonna I want to hear your thoughts on the anime series Godzilla Singular Point.
I have actually, unfortunately, not been able to watch that due to personal issues. During that time because I was actually really busy around the time it came out, so I actually would not have a chance to watch it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. None of us have seen Godzilla Singular Point, but the designs do look interesting. They've actually acknowledged Anguirus and Jet Jaguar after such a long time. So
That sounds amazing.
yep. All right, and have you seen Singular? Have you seen -1, Brandon? If so, what did you think?
I have seen -1, and yeah, that's the most recent one that just came out. I saw it with my brother at the theater, and honestly, it really moved me the story plots. Like, it's not really about Godzilla. It's more like from the storyline from human side.
Yep.
It's something we don't really see that we didn't like. It's a different kind of viewpoint, and honestly, it's very moving. It almost brought me to tears just watching the whole story play out with how they play out, just kamikaze pilot, just trying to go through life through survivor's guilt and just trying to find meaning back in life again. It was very moving. Um, for Godzilla, this is very much in tune with his original he's more evil really he's more antagonistic compared to others. He's more like a force of destruction, not like a force of nature, but he's just more how do I say this? He's more aggressive, really. Exactly, he's more aggressive. He has some curiosity based on what he on Odo Island. He didn't really attack at first. He only provoked into attacking when the soldiers started firing on him. But after he mutated, he's very vengeful to everyone. He took down so many battleships. He destroyed the entire city with his atomic breath. And yeah, honestly, this Godzilla, his abilities especially are very unique to him, especially his regeneration, as we saw in the movie. If you've seen it, because his regeneration is a lot a lot faster, and it's a lot more efficient as well. Because we saw if you've seen -1 at the end of the movie, a small piece of him started regenerating after he his atomic energy blew himself up, it destroyed him from the inside out. It started regenerating afterward.
So would it just become a brand new Godzilla, or to be the same one he remembered, or how did it work?
So based on the regeneration ability alone for the -1 continuity Godzilla, it is a very big possibility that this will be the exact same Godzilla mutated into a stronger, more durable version of him. Because again, when this Godzilla from the -1 continuity mutated during the whole nuclear test, he became a lot more durable. Originally they had to blow up a mine in his mouth just to even cause any damage to him to blow up his head, and he regenerated from that alone already.
If that's the case, then you don't really need to introduce Mother in this universe. Godzilla can wake up back from the dead, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, time to go to the MonsterVerse to hear Brandon's thoughts on Godzilla 2014.
I am really glad they did this whole reboot of the whole MonsterVerse for this reboot of American Godzilla, because they did a very nice job with this movie. They did a lot of good setup, like good description of the origins of Godzilla itself, Monarch, the Mutos. I like honestly, I have like no bad things to say about this movie setup wise. Like it's very good, and this is even before we discovered it is like a whole monster verse as well. So they did play this out very well.
All right, let's move on to Kong Skull Island. So I'm
First
gonna
Godzilla thing we're gonna talk
yeah.
about.
So I'm gonna keep this. So I'm gonna keep this brief since I've already made my review on this. So if you want my whole entire thoughts on this, you can go check out my video on it. But I really like this film. It's a cool action flick. So I'm gonna hand this off to RevinEvan to send his thoughts on Kong Skull Island.
I really liked it too. It's been a couple years since I last saw it. I thought it was a pretty interesting sort of movie. I liked we got to explore a lot more of Skull Island instead of just trying to Kong off the stage to fall out of the tower again. And the skull crawler things were pretty freakish, and I didn't know where exactly they came from, what exactly they were going for at first, but they were pretty neat. And that's like Kong in the movie, and most of the human characters for the most part.
All right,
Though during the wall of celebrities they got just for that movie, I could not unsee right here some of the other characters I'm used to these people playing. Like considering how many Marvel actors they got in there, like Samuel L. Jackson, Hiddleston, Brie Larson, so I just couldn't stop making jokes with me and my friends watching it.
All right. How about you, Carbs? What are your thoughts on Kong Skull Island?
Honestly, I think Kong Skull Island is my favorite MonsterVerse film out of the four, or soon to be five. But yeah, I really the first time I saw this, I really liked it because it was different than the King Kong movies we previously had. Just because it wasn't the classic story of people going to Skull Island and then Kong gets the girl and they have to rescue the girl, and now that they rescued her they bring Kong to the city, and then Kong escapes from the shackles and he takes the girl and climbs up the building. Oh no, the planes kill King Kong. 'Twas love killed the beast. Yeah.
The beauty that killed the beast, and it mainly just bullets and a 1,400-foot fall that killed the ape. Sometimes there are, I think, one or two times where you survived it, but I don't remember.
Yeah. But what I did love, but that's why I loved this new King Kong movie, because Kong Skull Island was something completely different. It was mostly just these people trying to, you could say, trap or prove that monsters exist in that world to at least everyone around the world, not just the government. But and no one is really being, hunted by Kong or is trapped by Kong. It's more like they themselves are trapped on the island and they have to survive it with all the creatures going into it. I love how it's split into two groups: the soldiers with the main cast, you could say. But also, I love that it doesn't really they don't really fear about killing off any character. For example, I remember that one scene when they finally fix the boat and it's a joyous scene, and then out of nowhere it gets interrupted because a creature grabs one of the characters and kills him, and I was like, oh shoot, this is still for real. Everybody could still die. I love how even Samuel Jackson, one of the main characters, died because he was starting to go insane, and even everybody in the audience could see that, how he himself was turning more into the villain than Kong ever was. If you could say he was more of an antagonist, even the Skullcrawlers weren't that evil. But yeah, and I loved how it was very comedic. I loved that they weren't really going for an all serious tone, especially with how many actors here aren't really known for just being plain old serious, with Samuel L. Jackson and John C. Reilly. I love the addition of John C. Reilly in the film. Sure, he could have been more like the comic relief, but I don't know. I just love I love seeing John C. Reilly on film. But
All right.
yeah, the I love the final fight with Kong and the Skullcrawler. That was pretty cool, especially when the first time Kong tried to kill it, it didn't work, and then he had to rip his insides out. And ooh, man, that was so cool. And the end credit scenes of how they were now that film right there was the introduction of the MonsterVerse, you could say, because that is at the end is when they were introducing Godzilla King of the Monsters, where you would see, oh my gosh, look, it's Mothra. Oh my gosh, is that Rodan? Ghidorah? Godzilla fighting Ghidorah? You're telling me these movies are going to be connected? And yep, that's when it all started.
There was supposed to be a sort of deeper connection there. Like, I believe at the beginning of Kong Skull Island, there was supposed to be a scene with Godzilla in it, like them first discovering him around then. But the director pushed back, saying, no, this needs to be a Kong-centered film. We don't want people to be just sucking up to Godzilla for this one as well, even though these movies are, I guess, connected.
Do you guys remember the scene where Samuel L. Jackson was pointing the gun at John Goodman's character, where John Goodman was saying monsters exist?
Yeah.
People were speculating if that monster he was talking about was Gojira. Maybe it could be someone else.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, one of his lines were, those nuclear bomb tests those weren't tests. They were trying to kill something. And it was revealed in the 2014 Godzilla film that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to nuke Godzilla so they could be able to kill him. Instead, they just made him stronger.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
All right. How about you, Brandon? What did you think of Kong Skull Island?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a Kong movie. I'm a big fan of King Kong. Always have been since I was little. Like I held this in pretty high expectations, and the movie did not let me down. Glad that we got more backstory behind King Kong himself. And I am also glad that this is when they first see the whole MonsterVerse, like they're actually going to go for like an entire universe, just like the MCU, like interconnected movies with one another. And I was really glad for that.
Okay. So, all right, let's move on to Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So as what Carb said, when they teased that Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah were gonna show up, my hype for the upcoming film, for the upcoming Godzilla American film, could not have been more high. Like, seriously, Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Ghidorah in one film? Yes, please. And King of the Monsters delivered. Oh my god, this is the best American-made Godzilla movie. This movie is incredible. It is so great. This is like yeah, and it also helps that the human characters were actually pretty decent. I actually like Kyle Chandler. I thought Vera Farmiga was pretty cool. I thought Ken Watanabe's interpretation of Dr. Sarazawa, he was pretty decent. And yeah, the monsters themselves. Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good, dude. Gojira, Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan, they were all done so well. Like, it was absolutely mesmerizing to see them. Also, the score. The score is fantastic. Like, it's literally the best score Godzilla has ever gotten. A huge shout out to Bear McCreary, honestly. This score is amazing. Like, and the visual effects are incredible too. Like, Michael Dodry did a fantastic job at directing the film. This is literally the best American-made Godzilla film. It's a 5 out of 5 film for me. This is a top 5 Godzilla film for me. And honestly, the fact that people at the time chose to prioritize the live-action Aladdin movie over this film, it makes me lose faith in the human race. Like, if I'm being real with you. So all right. So I'll hand this off to RevinEvan to see what he thinks of Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts to go over on this movie because while I do really like it to the point where I actually got on DVD just to have a lot of sort of problems I have with it. Like, keep up a little bit right now, like what's going on in this movie. So it revolves around most of these humans that spawn are kind of studying these monsters, seeing what's going on, but then seems to be a terrorist group going around using a special device that can send out waves that communicates with the monsters in order to release them onto the world to, I guess, cause havoc. I'm sorry, why? Does anyone want to, talk about that a bit?
Well, I don't know, man. But you can. Yeah, I got nothing, so you can. So continue.
It's just one of the main humans I remember thinking was, Hank was
Um,
supposedly the one, I guess, leading this whole terrorist group going around releasing these monsters, saying, I guess, giving this whole speech that humanity is the disease, we're killing the planet, we need to release these monsters in order to, I guess, destroy everything right now. It'll make everything better because, boo-hoo, my son is dead.
yeah, yeah.
Like, no, I know she's supposed to be the villain, but I'm not going to really see anything or any sort of. Well, it's clear they're trying to do at least something sympathetic with her, but I don't feel it at all because she's pretty much advocating to just drop a nuke on each continent, releasing all the various creatures in order to advocate the genocide of billions because I guess she's just sad that Godzilla sent her son inadvertently when she was fighting something else.
All right. So let's move on to carbs to see what
That
you.
isn't all. I have a lot more to say, not just
Uh,
on the plot, but some of the other bits here.
okay.
I do like that we got quite a few different monsters in this movie. I always have to hear from my boy Rodan showing up at something, and King Ghidorah definitely had a lot of presence throughout this movie. I just wish that we got to see a lot more of them right now. Like the whole thing with Ghidorah is that he's constantly surrounded by a giant storm covering in fog and mist and all sorts of particle effects, and it kind of diminishes the designs a bit because we can't really get to see them a lot more often. The biggest problem with this movie is that it constantly cuts back to the humans and their reactions rather than actually letting us go scale out a bit in order to see the full monster fights for at least a little bit until around the end a bit. Even then, it's still kind of hazy unless you adjust the brightness on the screen a lot. That does lead to a lot of pretty good action, some pretty funny moments. Some of the other characters got some pretty great moments. And Ken Watanabe playing Dr. Serizawa got a really good final moment when he goes down to I don't remember what sort of city that was, but he goes in to find Godzilla to set up a bomb next to him. He has this little heartfelt moment. I really like that. And yeah, a lot of the other visual effects were pretty good. Some of the fights were great. They had a lot of fun, well, hell yeah, sort of moments. The score was great. I really love how they reincorporated a lot of the classic themes, remixed them. Like that scene Godzilla rises out of the water, perfectly charged by the nuke, and you hear the classic song playing again. That was a hype moment for me. But yeah, I do really like a lot of this movie. Yeah, it's my favorite out of the whole MonsterVerse films, but it's definitely high up there.
All right. All right, carbs. What did you think of Godzilla King of the Monsters?
King of the Monsters. I was actually pretty hyped up for this film. It came back. It came out back in 2019, if I'm not incorrect. And I love how you mentioned that the Aladdin remake really had a toll on how much money this film was going to make. But for what it was, I really liked it. I will say that it had the best um, monster cinematography out of all of them, just because of how you could really feel how colossal these titans are, especially the Rodan scene when Rodan just awakens and is flying over the city, but because Rodan is so huge, because it's just gliding over it, it destroys everything that's in its path, and all those humans trying to escape it, pretty much dying, really really sets up the tone of the film.
Destroyed one Rodan's mouth, so that's gonna help.
Right? But that was hilarious. He tried to escape, like he didn't. But yeah, I really loved how King Ghidorah was actually menacing in this because I was based off of the trailers. I just knew that they were gonna do King Ghidorah justice in this one because he looked ferocious. He looked evil. He did not look like he was one of the good guys. Sure, none of the monsters actually do, except for for Mothra, because how you're gonna really be scared of a giant butterfly like creature.
Giant moth, and okay, you may not be very scared of it right now, but imagine that sort of thing happening in real life. This giant 50-story monster going apart. stomping around your town or city. How would you feel?
Mothra in her caterpillar form was more terrifying than what she was at the end.
Yeah, because actually saw most of her.
Yeah, that's true. It was actually kind of sad that we didn't get more Mothra in it, because sure, she's probably wasn't the strongest out of the monsters, but for what she could do, could have done, at least she deserved a bit more screen time, in my opinion. But man, the part where we saw her, you could say, descend from her cocoon into her final form, with the music and the visuals of it. Yeah, that scene was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a yup shot. A lot of yup shots in this movie.
Exactly. And I also love how one of the best scenes in the film was when Ghidorah was about to kill the main, what's her face from Stranger Things? What's the character's name? Yeah. And then Godzilla's breath just shoots off and pushes Ghidorah to the ground, and then you hear one of the classic Godzilla screams, and the music and the theme song kicking in. Man, that right there, that was cinema to me.
Just walking in with the entire army at his back.
It brings tears to a grown. It brought tears to a grown ass man.
That right there was like a homage to the original Godzilla films, because man, yeah, homage, whatever. It pays respects to where it's due. And I love how they brought in Burning Godzilla, because that is something I don't think anybody expected, honestly. I love your yeah. RevinEvan, I love your profile pic there. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But
I was not the only one who chose a new profile pic for this.
Nice. But yeah, Burning Godzilla being the strongest there is, you could say it was actually the strongest Titan at the time. How was just obliterating Ghidorah. But at the end, how all the Titans would come in and just bow down to the king of the monsters. And that was amazing. And what's pretty cool is that people were asking, well, where's Kong in all this? Well, two things. One, he's on an island, and I don't think he could swim very well. And two is that...
on an island in the dome, wondering what exactly is going on. Is this what the Truman Show is? Wait, no, never mind. That's the next movie.
Yeah. We didn't even know that he was probably in the dome, but based off of the comics, it said that he was so Ghidorah was calling all the monsters, or he was summoning all the monsters up.
When he was awakening all of them, Kong was going around, basically just stopping all the skull crawls from going there. Like, hey, no, you are not allowed to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And he was also ignoring the call, like, man, you ain't my king. I'm my own king. And he also was too busy getting rid of those skull crawlers, because, man, those skull crawlers really is bad. But yeah, but back to the main focus of the Godzilla film. The characters in it were pretty decent. I will say, though, it was kind of ridiculous how the main motivation was just, I guess, to avenge their son, in a way. I don't know. But it was kind of dumb how...
That was the joke I was going off of, but I think the main reason was that apparently she saw that wherever the giant monsters go, apparently the entire rest of the world just flourishes. Like, the ozone starts to close up, coral reefs are come back, etc., which I don't know how exactly you came to that conclusion, but okay. I mean, if you're going to do something like this, at least try to evacuate all the people out of the cities first. But they said, no, this is bigger than all this. Just let them all die, I guess. Until around 20 minutes later, when she realizes, wait a minute, this whole planet could kill billions of people. It could kill billions of people.
Oh, wait, too late. They did. And Ghidorah was temporarily the king of the monsters at that time. But man, which reminds me, that shot of Ghidorah just doing his roar, his cry, and then the shot of the cross right there, it was amazing.
I think the show would be a little better if it didn't focus on the cross and instead focus on the giant goddamn 3-headed dragon giving out a roar saying, hey everybody, wake up. All I could focus on was the cross because it took up a good chunk of the screen.
I guess it was like a metaphor, like you got the cross, but then there's the actual king there if you think about it like that, I don't know. But it was it was a pretty clean shot. The only problem was that if you're not paying attention to either Ghidorah or the cross, you could see that Rodan is still there in the shot, bowing down.
Yeah, because he's basically the giant monster equivalent to Starscream. He just decides to bow down to whoever is truly in power.
Yeah, and once the film ended, I said, okay, so what are they going to do after this? Because, I mean, we got pretty much all of the monsters in one film. And then the post-credit scene...
right now.
And then the post-credit scene with them showing, is there a new king? Is King versus God? And then they showed the teaser for Godzilla versus Kong.
Like, and I said, Kong fighting yet. Okay, I think we know where this is going now.
This is going to be... I even myself question, is this going to be better than King of the Monsters? Because it's two classic coming together in the fight for the rematch of the century. But yeah, that's my opinion on Godzilla 2019 King of the Monsters.
All right. So, I haven't. So about Mothra, I expected her to come to Godzilla versus Kong, but she didn't. She never showed up, which I was pretty sad about, to be honest. But
look, it's pretty much law at this point that whenever Mothra shows up in the movie, she has to die.
Yeah. So, all right. How about you, Brandon? What are your thoughts on King of the Monsters?
King of the Monsters is something that I am very glad they got to. Like, this was basically like this confirmed it. Like, if they didn't confirm with Kong Skull Island that this is the whole MonsterVerse, I'm glad we got to see Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah again through this movie. So I am surprised that Mothra this time around it's a more symbiotic relationship with Godzilla this time around. That surprised me actually when I was watching this. Yeah, I was expecting like, oh, it's gonna big thematic battle. Godzilla did not disappoint. Very glad with that. Storyline wise, I'm glad they Monarch and they kept that like everything going on storyline wise with that. Uh, and the whole like Battle of San Francisco, this really like brought about like this is a real battle of kaiju's in the monsterverse. Like this really like hit that home. Like we had Skull Island, like yeah, but like that's like on an uninhabited island with like no humans or anything. This was on in San Francisco. The setting wise, like this really hit it home. Like this is the whole new world with all the Mutos and Kaiju's. This is what's going to be happening from now on. You should prepare for it in the MonsterVerse.
Yep. As for Mothra, yeah, I did. I thought they were gonna. I thought they were gonna. I thought both Godzilla and Mothra were gonna battle it out, but nope, that never happened.
Yeah, yeah. I was honestly that surprised me.
It would be more tense.
I mean, we did see a bit of a showdown with Mothra and Rodan, but that mostly happened off screen, and what we got was about 2 minutes of footage between the two, and sadly, it was. I personally think
by Mothra.
Sadly, I thought the fight was going to be longer, but no, it wasn't. They had to kill Mothra off and sacrifice herself for Godzilla, and the tale as old as time. But for what we got with Mothra, it was okay. I just wish she would have showed up on screen a bit longer.
Well, let's move on from King of the Monsters. Let's move on to Godzilla versus Kong. I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is my least favorite MonsterVerse film. But that said, I don't think it's
real.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad. It's okay, but like yeah. The main reason is that I don't care for the human characters. I really don't care for the human characters except for
That's because nobody cares for the humans in that.
Yeah. Except for the little girl. I thought she was fine, but everyone else I did not care for. I don't like Brian Tyree Henry's character. I thought he was a bum. I thought he was annoying. But and
I mean, that was kind of the point because of the whole angle. But yeah, I didn't like him.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that Godzilla was an antagonistic force, and it's basically a Kong movie, a Kong 2.5, Kong 2 featuring Godzilla. So basically, Kong was the main character, but Otherwise, I feel like the movie was too short. Maybe it was just me, but they needed more develop. They needed more human development, and I thought the fight scenes were pretty good between Godzilla, Khan, and Mecha. But I don't know. If the movie was longer and it had more human character development, I think it would have. I think it would have. The movie would have been a lot better. But otherwise, it was okay. It was fine. All right, I'm gonna hand it off to RevinEvan to see what he thinks of Godzilla.
Okay, much like the last film, I have a lot of various thoughts. So, first off, I actually really like with this movie. Yeah, you basically said Kong was kind of the main character, sort of very humanized here, trying to get us to really care. And I think that he did, despite not really being able to talk. His whole connection with Gia, the little girl, was pretty nice. Most of the humans in there, I thought were just kind of okay. I just wish they got a little bit more to actually do. Even though some like shouldn't have been in this movie, like when Maddie and the whole characters go around. I don't think all of them need to be here. They're kind of, I don't know, some of them are just kind of for comic relief, other times it's just for people, oh, this is what's happening now. I don't know, I cannot. But the fight scenes were really good between the monsters. You actually see them, and they had really good use of color. I really like the do with the whole Hollow Earth thing. And considering what I think the next film was going to be doing, exploring a lot more of that, I think that's pretty interesting. And I'm always going to love a movie that features my boy Mechagodzilla in it. Like the reveal of him in that whole pit with him rising out, I was freaking out in the theater because I had no idea he was going to show up.
All right, then.
So I'll have a couple of questions regarding some of this stuff right now. That if you guys would like to answer this, feel free. How exactly did the whole technology level of these movies just drastically improve? Like we have
Uh,
from around 20, like the first two or three films were just kind of normal human society, and now in this film, technology is basically magic. Like there's these
yeah,
weird hover cars that can somehow be used as defibrillators. There's
yeah,
this giant mecha, like a Godzilla that they're trying to build here. Well, they do build, and it goes on a rampage because, of course, it does. And apparently, the point is that they need to get some energy source from the Hollow Earth before making Godzilla. So, if they decide to drill into the earth, bring back a sample of it, and just fly it down there to their little facility to plug it in, that'd be kind of understandable. But no, what they do in the movie is they take a probe, they drill into the earth, just a little sample of the energy, and then they somehow email it to their facility in order to somehow copy it there. How the
That
actual
right there.
does that work?
yeah.
I
That's
was questioning the exact same thing. I was like, okay, so it
yeah,
drilled it. Okay, now they have to take it back. Oh no, apparently now it's just being directly forwarded to the facility. I'm like, wait, how the frick?
yeah.
How
That's
do they
You
do
another.
that?
can email an energy
Yeah,
source
that's
like a YouTube
another
video. How
reason
does that go?
why. Yeah, I forgot. That's another reason why Godzilla versus Kong is my least favorite of the MonsterVerse. There was
They
some.
take a lot of shortcuts. They take a lot of
Yeah,
shortcuts.
there was some bad writing.
Yeah, there are quite a few things in this movie I feel like were either cut or need to be expanded on a little more. Like, do you remember who the pilot for the Mechagodzilla in this movie was supposed to be?
Wasn't it supposed to be like the nephew or the grandkid of Sitazawa or something?
The
That's
son
his
of Sarazawa.
son.
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah,
son.
I feel like that'd be pretty important to develop. But no,
Yeah,
I don't think he even gets a line in the movie. He just shows up, sits in the chair, cuts a skull crawler in half while smiling, and then just dies.
I
When the
That's
whole
funny.
season gets in, then the ghost of King Ghidorah comes back to possess the robot, apparently.
yeah. Honestly, like I feel like that's Mecha in name only. Like I don't feel like that's Mecha. Like
Yeah,
That's just Ghidorah. If I'm being real with you.
it's Ghidorah's soul possessing the robot, apparently.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, and
It's
people were quite.
two skulls, one side the robot and one in the facility to, I guess, connect telepathically to it. What pushing a button? Just get on an Xbox controller or something. Control it that way, for all I know. Why do you need the freaking neural interface? Was this because you saw Pacific Rim and thought, yeah, we should do that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, hell, if those movies were connected, that would make a little sense.
Dude, that would be amazing. But I don't know. I don't know if that will ever happen.
That will happen.
In the sequel to that movie we did get, which I will not speak of here.
Well, honestly, like, yeah, this movie's just wasted potential. It's just decent, but like, I feel like there's just so much potential wasted here. Well,
I do really like it, but there's a bunch of problems I cannot get out of my head right now. Before saying this is the best film in this whole MonsterVerse thing.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I am excited for the next one.
Well, I am too. Well, let's go to Carbs to see what he thinks of Godzilla versus Kong.
All right. So, if I have to be real with you guys, I was absolutely hyped for this film. I would see every single piece of Godzilla versus Kong media there was. I remember I was looking at the teaser in when in the Brazilian Expo, when they showed like a 2-second glimpse of what was to come. I was like, oh my gosh, it's for real happening. And then when everyone finally got the teaser trailer, I was shocked. I was like, no way, this is for real happening. And the reason why was because it was being delayed due to COVID, sadly. But I was on the hype train for Godzilla vs. Kong. And as soon as the film came out, I think it was my favorite film of the year, just because at the time I thought, wow, this was really good. The fight, I think the one thing that really carried this film was the fight scenes between Godzilla, Kong, and even Mechagodzilla.
Which was kind of the point. That's what people come here to see.
Exactly. I even the people like the director or people from the movie said that the main purpose is it's the Titans, the monsters, not the humans. They were trying to make the humans work, but I will say that, like Nomicon said, this film was mostly centered toward Kong than Godzilla, just because I think they were just trying to give more character to Kong, and because it would be easier to you could say discover the Hollow Earth with Kong than with Godzilla, just because they kept Kong in containment for years.
And yeah, and the only reason why Godzilla was attacking people because they saw they were trying to build a robot of him and said, nope, you got to trust on this one.
Yeah, I love how the audience knows that something's up with that like glowing thing, but everybody in the movie has no idea why Godzilla is just acting. They said, like, even the main character from the last movie said, well, some people can change, so Godzilla can change too, from being a good guy to a bad guy. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that was kind of hinted because of Serizawa's daughter or niece said, when they were like, man, good thing he's on our side. And she said, for now, I guess it was hinting at Godzilla.
Were not related at all. That was just one of the doctors that had been working for Monarch for a couple generations, and her twin was also there when they discovered Monarch. Like,
oh, well, then my bad for
reference the whole fairy pins from some of the other Godzilla films that had a connection with Monarch.
Gotcha. But anyways, like what I mean was that the humans were okay, but I feel like the human actors were better on you could say Team Kong than Team Godzilla, because honestly, Team Godzilla people were just, I don't think, even relevant to the story at all. It was just mostly for us, the audience, to know what's happening with what was the organization called again? It wasn't Monarch.
Apex.
It was Apex. Right. It was just mostly to discover what they were up to. And I will say this though, the name Mechagodzilla is only known to the audience members because in the actual MonsterVerse, they had no idea what that thing was. The only two quotable things that I know was when the guy said, "Oh, that's Robo Godzilla," and then the kid was like, "No, that's That's Mecha Godzilla. Well, like hinting, oh god,
You don't have
confirmed,
time to watch anime.
confirmed, it's Mecha Godzilla. Nice. And I will say this though, like his design is actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the Mecha Godzilla design in this film. Sure,
It
it's
is
different
cool.
than what we're known for, but you know, it's their take on it, and I will say I like it. It fits. It fits.
Yeah,
But
they basically what if they made a Terminator version of Godzilla? There you go.
yeah, Terminator, or you could even say Transformer version of Godzilla.
No, they did that before. Well, there were like 3 vehicles that came together in order to become Mechagodzilla in one movie, or was that just a scrapped concept? I don't know, but yeah, I actually did pretty much like this Mechagodzilla design, even if it isn't my favorite one. That honor goes to Kiryu.
There are better ones, but for what it was pretty good. Especially the color change of being red, the opposite of blue. It was pretty cool. But yeah, the fight between Godzilla versus Kong, I think I don't know why, but I honestly loved the first interaction between Godzilla and Kong. I love that fight scene was pretty good, even though I knew for a fact that Godzilla was going to win because they were in the water. But the second fight, we all knew that because Kong got his battle axe, we knew, okay, Kong is going to win round 2, especially with that handicap they gave him, because there was no way he was going to take him on hand-to-hand combat. And then the official confirmation that Godzilla won was when he pretty much killed Kong, you could say. Yeah. But yeah, and then the final fight between Mechagodzilla, we all knew for a fact as soon as we saw Mecha, we all knew for a fact that Godzilla and Kong in the end were just gonna have to put the differences apart and fight this thing. But the one thing that really caught me by surprise was how easy Mechagodzilla was absolutely demolishing Godzilla. It was insane. I just
understand that.
I just assumed it was gonna be like a slow kaiju fight, you know, like the classic, like boom, and then another bam. But nope, Mechagodzilla was just jumping, flying, kicking, freaking dragging Godzilla on the ground.
To be fair, during the second round of Godzilla and Kong fighting, Goji used all of his energy to put Kong down.
You could even see it when Godzilla first saw Mecha.
Hey, bitch, come here.
You could even see it too, like when Godzilla first saw Mecha, you could see him, he was like heavy breathing, and then, oh gosh, I just finished a fight and now have to start another one. And you could see it too because Godzilla would charge to Mechagodzilla trying to finish the fight. But sadly, he could not.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I was like, and then when Mechagodzilla was opening Godzilla's mouth to shoot his beam at it, I was like, oh shoot, where the heck is Kong? Oh gosh, oh no. Yeah, and then Kong like saving him with the music. Man, honestly, I gotta say, the music and the orchestra in these movies are actually really good. They're pretty good.
The only song I remember is the opening thing. I don't remember anything else.
At the moment, it's okay because I mean, not one of them have like their own titular theme song, but just the music choices that they use in the film really make it like very majestic, you could say. Although you could say that the most memorable one is from the first Godzilla movie, or even King of the Monsters when Godzilla arrives. Yeah, but that's kind of cheating because that's just Godzilla's theme, honestly. But yeah, Godzilla versus yeah, but yeah, Godzilla versus Kong. I think it was a pretty decent film. I wouldn't say it's the worst out of all of them,
like
just because the weakest one. It might be the weakest one.
Movie's just kind of sort of on the lower tier.
Yeah, like for me, the top 2, in my opinion, are Kong Skull Island and King of the Monsters. But yeah, that's because Godzilla vs. Kong and the Godzilla 2014, those are like the bottom tier ones. And hopefully Godzilla vs. Kong, the new Empire, when it comes out, it's gonna be better than Godzilla vs. Kong. Hopefully.
All right,
Well, that's going to be our next topic.
All right, Brandon. What are your thoughts on Godzilla versus Kong?
I actually watched this movie kind of recently in preparation for this, and I honestly, I do agree with I think Evan said it was it Evan? Evan, were you the one who said that this was like a Kong movie? This is more like a Kong movie, was it? Or was it someone else?
That Kong's is the main character.
Yeah, I agree with that more, mainly because we do see Kong have more runtime, and we also have him see a bit more backstory as well for considering Hollow Earth. So I do agree with it on that. I do agree with your statement on that. Mechagodzilla, I'm glad they did this right this time around. It's a good rendition. I'm not exactly happy with the fact they used Ghidorah's skull as a brain for Mechagodzilla. I'm not like it's a bit different.
That was the only downside that for me at least I was confused. I was saying, wait, so is this Mecha Godzilla or is this Mecha Ghidorah? Because Mecha Ghidorah is still a
exactly.
thing.
Going to do when I saw them get Ghidorah head the end of Kingdom Hearts, okay, well, hey, I'm probably going to make a Mega Ghidorah at some point. That was going to be around
Like,
I don't know, 3 or 4 movies down the line, but no, they immediately did.
yeah, like this is very considered like, is this really Mecha Godzilla? I mean, it looks like him, has the same ability, has the same power as him, but it's powered by Ghidorah's brain. Isn't this like technically like Mega Ghidorah type in a way when you think about
It's
it?
just one of the heads taking control of it, and considering how many
Yeah,
jokes keep
exactly.
running
But that
about
is
which head
Ghidorah.
is which.
Yeah, that's
It was
freaking
even
Ghidorah.
teased
Heads
in
are
the
supposed
end
to
of Kingdom.
have
In the end of King of the Monsters, it was even teased that that old white guy took Ghidorah's head. And I was like, oh gosh, are they gonna build like a robot Ghidorah? That would be cool because Mecha Ghidorah. That's also like a lot of people recognize that. Sure, not as much as Mecha Godzilla, but it would have been cool, and it could have saved Mecha Godzilla for a different film. But
No.
they
I
just
feel
had
like
to
Godzilla should have been introduced first and then Mecha Ghidorah in a later that, because Mecha Godzilla is definitely the more popular of the robotic kaiju to be put in this. If they
Yeah,
did
plus I don't think it
Ghidorah
would have
first, it
made
would have felt
sense for this
weird.
film.
But withstanding Mecha Godzilla slash Mecha Ghidorah references, I did also enjoy the whole storyline they had with Kong, the connection between Kong and Godzilla, especially with the axe itself, the Kong's battle axe. Very glad they made good usage of using that as a key element to tie the connection between them, considering the axe is made out of one of the dorsal fins of Godzilla's species. So I'm glad they used that, and I'm also glad that they also made it so they had a rivalry of sorts, like their kind, like between Kongs and Godzillas, and how they now have like, I'd say like a truce, like they're or maybe like they're allies now, which will help lead into the next movie in the MonsterVerse franchise.
Well, uh, if one thing I will say about if it was Mecha Ghidorah instead of Mecha Goji, um, bro, they would have gone. Both Goji and Kong would have gone bodied easily. Like, y'all know how powerful Mecha Ghidorah is. Jesus Christ!
Clips I've seen of Godzilla King Ghidorah where Ghidorah first showed up. Yeah,
Yeah. Even Goji, even with Goji at his full strength, would not handle Mecha Ghidorah.
Yeah, but they did kind of do that though. They did kind of do it because you remember, like Godzilla was getting beaten by Mecha Godzilla, so that's what I do say. Is this really Mecha Godzilla, or this is like a kind of like a pseudo Mecha Ghidorah? That's the thing.
It's called Mega Godzilla. They built it to look like those missiles. I'm just happy that Mega Godzilla at least made something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least we did get Mecha Godzilla. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Godzilla and Mega Godzilla, that was like to realize, wait, this is just bad Superman, but good.
Well,
Like you have these two iconic characters fighting it out only to take on an even more threat. But it actually feels warranted.
It's just bad. Yeah, I honestly feel like there's just so much bad writing that I just can't call it a great film. Well, let's move on to Godzilla vs. Kong and let's talk about the Skull Island TV show. I actually haven't seen this film, but since it's an
Wait, was
but
it
since
like
it's
a
an
cartoon, like an anime?
yeah, it's an I think it's a wait, I don't know if it's a cartoon
It's
or
a
an
Netflix
anime.
animated series.
It is.
It's an
Okay,
animated
It's a
series.
Netflix
Netflix
animated
animated
show.
series.
yeah. I haven't seen it, so but it does look really cool. I am planning to see it at some point, so it does look pretty cool. So, Brandon, have you seen Skull Island? If so, what did you think of it?
I I actually have. It's been a while since I've last seen it, but I have seen it, and I did enjoy the series. Actually, a lot more in depth knowledge of Skull Island itself, adding to what we already knew from Kong Skull Island. So it's like this takes place in like the future, like way in the future. Like I think it was 20 years. I think after Kong Skull Island. I think
Hmm,
the series is supposed to be placed after, but it does
okay.
give like a bit more backstory to it and what's actually on Skull Island, which I hope that will be referenced during the new movie Godzilla versus X Kong: The New Empire.
Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla Kong. I don't know. I don't know how to call it.
Um, I think from what they said from Godzilla versus Kong, Skull Island is destroyed. So I don't know if that's gonna happen.
We don't. We may see it again. We may not. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. That's just my personal
Yeah.
opinion. I do hope we get to see a bit more references to that because it seems like the people on Skull Island when they like at the end of the movie, on Skull Island when they showcase like Ghidorah, Rodon, like all the other kaiju's that they do seem to have knowledge of it. So I do hope we get to see like just some more backstory with it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
really help build.
So,
Yeah. Also, oh, fun fact. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned in Godzilla vs. Kong, but I'm pretty sure Skull Island has flooded, if that makes sense. Like,
oh,
there have been, yeah, it was flooded.
Uh,
I think it
all right,
was.
all right. Carbs. Have you seen Skull Island? If so, what did you think of it?
I actually have not seen Skull Island, although I do remember it being announced a few months ago, actually, when I was just browsing through things. I said, "Oh shoot, there's going to be a Skull Island anime based off of, I guess, Kong Skull Island." I wasn't sure if it was going to be connected to the MonsterVerse, but I haven't checked it out, but it actually looks pretty good. Gives me some vibes of I'm I'm gonna say Camp Cretaceous, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, just because it's like a different story based off of this some similar events happening. And I looking at it, it looks like there's gonna be a ton of new um island creatures that we didn't get to see in Skull Island. So I might actually have to give it a watch. It looks pretty good. Also the animation is pretty decent, not gonna lie.
All right, RevinEvan. Have you seen Skull Island? If so, what did you think of
I
it?
am not.
All right, yeah, yeah. So I do plan on seeing Skull Island at some point. I don't know when. And let's move on to Monarch: The Legacy of the Monsters. I have not seen it because I do not have Apple TV. I do not have Apple TV Plus. Technically, I do, but it's only because I have a season pass for Major League Soccer, thanks to T-Mobile. So technically, I don't have Apple TV, so I have no access of watching Monarch: Legacy of the Monsters. How about you, Brandon? Have you seen like Monarch: Legacy of the Monsters? If so, what did you think of it?
I have actually not seen this yet. I've actually been meaning to get into it. Actually, considering that this is gonna have ties. This is gonna. It's between Godzilla versus Kong. I have been meaning to watch it. Though I've heard good things about it.
Okay, okay. No, I think from what I've heard, this has ties to Godzilla 2014.
Oh,
Like it's
really?
between Godzilla and the King of Monsters.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. How about you, Carbs? Have you seen Monarch: Legacy of the Monsters? If so, what did you think of it?
So I actually have not, although I feel like my best bet for me, like on the series itself, is probably to watch some YouTube reactors react to the series, just just so I can see what it is about. Sure, they could skip some scenes, but I don't know. I don't feel like paying money to just watch one show on Apple TV because I don't know. But that's the sad thing because they could have done it for maybe even Netflix, considering Netflix is the one that, or even Max, since those are the two that hold
Yeah, no.
most of the
No,
Godzilla franchise. But
There's
yeah, it's I wish I could see it. I just can't because it's on Apple TV, and I don't really want to pay another subscription for a different streaming service just to watch one show. But hopefully, I most likely, if I ever get around to it, I might be interested in watching it. But it does look interesting though, and also the CG for the Titans themselves looks pretty good too.
if I think the only way I could watch it is if it gets a physical release. If it gets a physical release, that's a day one. That's an automatic pre-order. How about you, RevinEvan? Have you seen Monarch Legacy of the Monsters?
I have not seen it because I'm waiting for the season pass, so rather than just go episode by episode and constantly people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think from what I've heard, it's still going. It's not finished yet. I think they're on
I
episode
know what it's not.
7. I think they're on episode 7. Yeah, the intended episode is to have 10 episodes. I think they're on episode 7 right now. So
I can wait.
yeah, I can wait too. All right, let's move on to the MonsterVerse comic books. I actually have not gotten around to reading the MonsterVerse comic books. So, but they do look really cool. So I think from what I've heard, they put more detail. They give more context into the films, which is pretty cool. So I'll give it a walk. I'll if I do see it in stores, I'll make sure to pick it up. So Brandon, have you read any of the MonsterVerse comic books? If so, what did you think of it?
I've actually been reading a bit of it while this whole conversation is going on because I have said like I haven't really read much of it, and I am and reading and I've been reading over it. I found that I've really enjoyed it. It's really giving some not only some not like novelization like graphic novelizations to the movies, but also a bit more insight into them. And yeah, I am really enjoying them. Unfortunately, I am a little sad that some of it is no longer considered canon. Unfortunately, because from what I heard, that this isn't canon because it's a monarch. Is that right? Because I know some of these aren't canon anymore. But I've only heard that it's only because of Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Oh, I actually did not know that.
Yeah, because I know some of I knew beforehand like some of it wasn't canon. Hence why I haven't read some of it. But I only heard recently that some of it isn't canon because it was confirmed in Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right. How about you,
Okay,
RevinEvan? How about you, RevinEvan? Have you read any of the MonsterVerse comic books?
I've not read much of them, but I did have one of them on here if you guys want to see it.
All right. How about you, Carbs? Have you read any of the MonsterVerse comic books?
If I'm not incorrect, I think the only MonsterVerse book that I read was Godzilla Awakening. That was years ago.
Yeah, right here.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the only one that I ever read. Yeah, that's the one. But other than that, I don't think I've read any. I think I just the only other comic book of the MonsterVerse that I saw or heard of or saw a video of was the one on Baby Kong and his story.
Okay.
But they look pretty good though, and there's not a lot of them if I'm not incorrect. But
Yeah,
seeing how as Brandon said that some of these aren't canon anymore, I don't know because it might. I don't know. I might give it a shot, but because Monarch Legacy of the Monsters is making some of these comics not canon, then it might just be. I don't want to say it like this, but waste of time material. I don't like saying that. But I might give it a shot. It looks pretty good though.
Yep.
On some books.
Yeah, I'll have to check out which ones are canon and which ones aren't. So, all right. So let's move on. Let's talk about. This will be the last thing we'll talk about. The new Empire, dude. Okay, we got a teaser. So we got a poster. We got a teaser trailer. We got an official trailer for the new Empire. Oh my god, dude! I'm I cannot be more hyped for this film. So 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 why is it called the New Empire? Apparently, there's someone on Hollow Earth that could challenge Godzilla and Kong. That kaiju is named Scar. He is twice
Is that
the
his official
size.
name?
Yep, that's his name. He is twice the size of those kaiju. So, well, and he also carries a whip, and he is basically he is basically a ruler of a certain world in Hollow Earth. And and this dude treats everyone like they're his slaves. So I cannot be more excited for this film. It looks amazing. It looks stupid. It looks fun, and I hope the human characters this time are good, because the human characters of Godzilla versus Kong were not it. I do hope they improve on. I do hope the new Empire they improve on.
I hope they do. Right now, I cannot. Star King, if that's what his name is. I cannot take that monster seriously right now, because whenever I see him, I think they made
All right, and I do hope the movie is longer too, so that the human characters get more development. But my God, this looks incredible. This looks amazing. And honestly, the movie comes out in March, right? Or April.
April.
April. Yeah. Yep. April cannot come soon enough. All right. I'll hand this off to Brandon to see what he thinks of the new Empire.
Oh, I am so excited for this one. We got Scar coming on. He's another simian. He's another simian titan like Kong. So there's definitely going to be some kind of relationship between them. Even if Kong doesn't know him specifically, there's definitely going to be some beef. Especially with Godzilla, since again Kong and Godzilla they basically declared truce after the whole Godzilla versus Kong. Scar is not going to know them that they've come, so they're definitely going to be fighting with that, and they were most definitely teaming up to Kong and Godzilla to fight Scar. And this movie's also gonna again like I said earlier, like more references to like Skull Island and beyond all that, and it's really like more about the origins and the connections between them, like how it all connects to each other. So I'm really excited for that as well.
All right. All right. Let's go to RevinEvan to see what he thinks of the new Empire so far.
I am kind of excited right now, but also have a lot of questions. Like, do you guys see what was going on with Godzilla in that trailer? What exactly was he doing?
I think he's sleeping. He's trying to re-energize himself.
Some sort of hibernation to, I guess, evolve in a way?
Probably. We don't even know how many years. It hasn't even confirmed how many years it has been since Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, but I'm guessing he went to that whole hibernation after the whole battle with Godzilla. Like, he's went off to the US and trying to figure out what to do. Or maybe something happened in the actual film that caused him to hibernate and do that. Which is interesting. But why is it neon? Like, legitimately, I gotta say, it just seems kind of random.
Well, all right, Carbs. What are your thoughts on the new Empire so far?
Based off of that first trailer, I gotta say, I'm hyped for this film. I think this film is definitely going to be better than Godzilla vs Kong. And I actually did not know that that new Titan had a name, Scar. That was pretty good. And also, speaking of new Titan, we got Baby Kong. I mean, they're probably gonna call it something else, maybe, but Baby Kong, the son of Kong is, I guess you could say,
Part of
part of the MonsterVerse now.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. And I love how they made him pretty cute as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the one thing the son of Kong is gonna be the one that takes down Scar. I bet. I'm just kidding. Yeah, right.
No, yeah.
He just
Yeah, yeah, that's not happening. But anyways, I think the film looks pretty good. The CGI looks pretty decent. A lot of people are complaining on why the Titans are moving so fluidly now, and I say, well, think about it like this: they looked huge when they were on our world, but we're in their world now, so they obviously look small.
Yeah,
because that's where they live.
is weird. Gravity is weird. How bad things going around. People keep eating.
Yeah, they're in Hollow Earth. I think in Hollow Earth the physics are fucked.
Exactly.
Very fucked.
Kong was literally floating from one mountain to a different mountain. Like the frick.
Also, for those who are saying, why is Godzilla move running so fast? That's gotta be the stupidest fucking. That's gotta be the stupidest. That's gotta be the stupidest shit Godzilla has done. And I'm like, have y'all seen the Showa movies? He's done more dumb shit than that.
Okay, I know exactly what collective post here. You get mad about on there. I have to pull up some.
Also, for those that are thinking that this is probably going to be the worst Godzilla movie. They gotta have to put so much effort to put. You gotta have to try to be worse than Godzilla '98 and All Monsters Attack. Just saying.
Exactly. But the film itself looks pretty good. You know what I'm very excited about is that the little the deaf girl, she's coming back, and it looks like she's gonna have a bigger role to play in this film than she did in Godzilla vs. Kong.
She already
It's interesting
had
because I mean, yeah, she was the only one that can communicate with Kong, but at the same time, I also love how they're using her more, not just a one-time on-screen viewing. No, she's actually going to be connected to the whole, rest of what this MonsterVerse is aiming towards.
Well,
someone already posted this dropkick.
Well,
yes, sir.
The future.
If he does that, we know he is.
Well, with the release of Godzilla -1, the Skull Island TV show, and the new Empire, the future of Godzilla and Kong is pretty bright. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm pretty excited for what's to come in the future for both Toho and the Legendary, with their own versions of the kaiju. And honestly, I can't wait for all this to happen. I do hope that we get like video games. Although we do got a video game for COD, but that's from what I've heard, that game is atrocious. So
we need a brand new fighting game.
Yeah, honestly, but yeah. But honestly, their Godzilla, Gigan, and the others' appearances in Giga Bash is great. Honestly. So, honestly, we're gonna end this discussion video, and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna show. Yeah, and my partners are gonna tell you where they can find you on other social media accounts, starting with RevinEvan. Where can people find you?
You can find me on my show where I occasionally post memes and Discord if you want to join us for them. And there's not really that much. I upload the accounts, but I don't really use them. Just kind of have them. I will never Twitter. Unless we say, well, I don't have.
All right, Brandon, where can people find you?
Don't really have a social media presence, so yeah, sorry about that again to all the people who like to hear me talk on these videos, but yeah, don't have a social media presence, so yeah, sorry again, guys.
All right, Carbs. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at ERCKY05. I'm trying to post more things on my Instagram, especially with this new year coming. I'm definitely going to be more active, more posts coming in. But other than that, that's probably the most active social media I am in. So yeah.
All right. As for me, you can find me on Instagram, Backlogged, and Letterbox. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and you can also join my Discord server if you want to. And with that out of the way, this is Namikon. I'll see y'all next time.